Ugh, you said you were over him, but his hoodie is stealing your rotation. It's time. Grab your phone, snap a few pics, and sell it on Depop. Listed in minutes, with no selling fees. And just like that, a guy 500 miles away just paid full price for your closure. And right on cue.
Hey, still got my hoodie?
Nope, but I've got tonight's dinner paid for. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste. List now with no selling fees. Payment processing fees and boosting fees still apply. See website for details.
We heard you. 9 years of Bring Back the Snack Wrap, and you've won. But maybe you should have asked for more. Say hello to the Hot Honey Snack Wrap. Now you've really won. Go to McDonald's and get it while you can.
Welcome back to Marvelous Disney, the podcast where Dan Graney and I talk about Marvel, Disney, theme parks, movies, and the moments where the company quietly tells you, what they think they are now. I'm editor and writer Jim Hill, and I'm joined, as always, by the dynamic Dan Graney. He and I are recording this episode on February 15th, which means Valentine's Day is officially in the rearview mirror, and that also means that the price of roses goes down to something reasonable at this point, right, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to ask, did you and Paula do anything special, anything fun on Valentine's Day?
Well, not really, Jim. We spent a lot of the day just running around. I had to drive my daughter to a friend's celebration. Paula started refinishing the kitchen cabinets. We did, cap things off with some frozen pizza and watching Predator Badland on Disney Plus with Nick. So, honestly, I would call it a perfect Valentine's Day. What about you? Anything special with Nancy?
Well, interesting you say that. We spent a good portion of the day in the car because we drove down to Connecticut to rescue two cats. Long story short, a friend of the family passed away in January of last year, and she had two cats, which, by the way, quick question. Seriously, one of them is called Loki, and the other one is called Azel, which... Am I right? Is that what the real name of the Nightcrawler is for X-Men?
I thought it was Azrael, but
okay,
Azrael?
I think that's. In fact, thank you. All right, it was one of these things where it's like, okay, one of them is named after a Marvel character. Maybe I misheard the name. Maybe it really is called Azrael. We have two Marvel cats upstairs here now, locked in the bedroom. That's by the way, how you're supposed to introduce them to, if you already have a cat, you let them, smell each other under the door for a couple of days and then you release them and then they can have, superhero fights throughout the entire house. But wow. Okay. Thank you. You just solved a mystery for me. I've got Thor's brother and the Nightcrawler upstairs in a bedroom. Wow.
Well, and if I could jump in, I think Azrael was the character that was in that was similar to Nightcrawler. He was red instead of blue in X-Men First Class. I don't know if you remember that, but he had the same kind of powers.
So he
bamfing.
Okay, poofing it out and frighten the president of the United States. All right, got it.
Which will be great in the cat.
There we go.
It's just what you need.
Boy, can't wait for that. Okay, so but when last we recorded this podcast, you and I, that this was, getting ready to watch the Super Bowl and really looking forward to enjoying that Avengers trailer, right?
Yes. Just one thing. I don't know about you. I was all locked in. I was prepped. Every time a commercial break, I sort of like perked up. At attention, and I thought, okay, here we go. Here comes Dr. Doom. Or Spider-Man, or something.
In the end, what did Marvel actually show us?
Nothing. No Marvel. Not a logo. Not a stinger. Not even a blip of music. So you could call that 14 years of tradition gone.
Yeah, okay. But what's interesting is that might actually tell us more about Marvel right now than any trailer would have. But we'll get to that in a moment. I mean, what we did get over the Super Bowl is what? Chris Hemsworth, along with his wife, Elsa Patsky, in an Amazon commercial. Mm-hmm. We got a Supergirl teaser and a Jurassic Park Redux. By the way, what did you think of that Infinity commercial?
Oh, okay. So let me tell you, I actually saw it earlier in the week. Mm-hmm. I saw a longer version of it, quite a substantial, along with a making of, because that's the first thing I went to look for is a making of. Mm-hmm. And I have to tell you, Jim, I would love to see the receipts because now I put my advertising guy hat on my head for this one, but I was adding up some of the costs, just mentally, and let's just kind of go through it because you've got Sam Neill, mm-hmm. Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, mm-hmm. the original trio, de-aged. Mm-hmm. to capture, all new footage. You've got usage rights from the original movie. Mm-hmm. You've got original footage in there. Mm-hmm. So obviously Universal gets a cut from that. Does Steven Spielberg get a cut? I don't know. Okay. I would. Mm-hmm. I mean, if somebody's going to get a cut, obviously he would, but I don't know. Now that footage had Sam Jackson, mm-hmm. So he's got to get his cut. And the late Sir Richard Attenborough, mm-hmm. whose estate would get a cut. And then, let's not forget that music, the famous Jurassic Park music. So, John Williams, he has his share. Mm-hmm. And then there's Rupert Holmes, who wrote and performed Escape, the Pina Colada song, which is played towards the end of the spot. So he has his little, piece of the pie. And then there's the production costs, the effects costs. And who directed the spot? Taika Waititi.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he's not cheap.
Okay.
There's his cut. Mm-hmm. Now then, here's the kicker. So this is a 30-second spot. Just so you know, 30 seconds this year cost $7 million during the Super Bowl. And this was aired as a 60-second spot. So there's $14 million. And I would just like to say, as Ian Malcolm would, that is one big pile of cash.
There we go. But again, the very fact that here we are talking about it, 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, you got to say, mm-hmm. money well spent. But again, just to circle back to our original point, no Marvel, no Spider-Man.
I don't know. I'm just going to say let's blame Dr. Doom.
Oh, and speaking of Dr. Doom, I learned this week that Doomsday and Secret Wars, when they were being shot by Marvel, supposedly were being done under the fake working title of Apple Pie. Had you heard this?
No. I mean, it's not, Red Tails or Blue Harvest.
All true.
I mean, there's a part of me that would have liked pork chops and applesauce for any Brady Bunch fans out there. Okay. But, I respect it.
Okay. Again, it tells us something. Even internally, they're in lockdown mode. And we'll actually be in lockdown mode if we don't talk about our sponsor. And that is unlockmagic.com, where you get real discounts on Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando tickets, sometimes upwards of 12% off. Just so you know, Unlock Magic is run by the exact same team behind the DVC rental store and the DVC resale market. Just pick your dates, grab your tickets, and go. Unlock Magic makes it that easy to rack up some very significant savings. Oh, and when you get your tickets, please tell the nice folks at unlockmagic.com that it was Dan and it was Jim who sent you, okay? All right. So, back now, Dan, to what we didn't see over the course of Super Bowl Sunday.
Okay. So, like I said, for 14 years, if there was an Avengers movie coming, you got a Super Bowl spot, period. That's it. It's part of the ritual. That started, for Avengers in 2012 all the way through Endgame. And that February push was the moment. But this year, just that deafening silence. No spot for Avengers Doomsday. More surprising, nothing for Spider-Man Brand New Day, which has brand new leaks every day. And I'll admit, I was kind of surprised.
Okay, but if we take the 30,000 vote view, I mean, Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday doesn't arrive in theaters till December of this year. So that's 10 months out. And historically, Super Bowl spots typically, they buy them for something that's 3 months away from release, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, Marvel isn't in the open the floodgates mode yet. And the Russos have been clear. These aren't trailers, Jim. They're stories or clues or narrative information.
Oh my God, that is such a Russo brothers thing to say.
It is. We've seen that they really do kind of lead into the mystery, and they get on and let the hype machine kind of do its thing.
Like when Joe Russo basically said, Doomsday has already started for you.
Which does kind of reframe marketing almost entirely. It's like they're not really doing these, I don't know what you call it, like little hype spikes. They're just doing this sort of slow burn.
Okay, so what are we thinking? That the absence of a Super Bowl ad wasn't weakness?
No. I mean, honestly, it's control, especially because we think about the, like mom and dad who have the money.
Well, but at the same time, Disney did show up on the Super Bowl, just not with Marvel. Instead, we got something related to the Mandalorian Grogu, but I guess not in the way people expected.
Oh yeah, no, it was 30 seconds of parody nostalgia. You had snow and Tauntauns and Grogu front and center, and it was clearly built on the back of a classic Budweiser commercial ad, or ad than a theatrical event.
Oh no, totally. I mean, I love that moment where Grogu is petting the muzzle of the Tauntaun, and again, that was totally Clydesdale. Just sort of, yeah. But anyway, this Mandalorian Grogu is the first Star Wars movie since 2019. And so you'd think it's a Super Bowl. You'd go epic. But instead they went cute, and what was kind of interesting was to watch the fan community. They had kind of a mixed reaction, didn't they?
They did. But for me especially, here's the thing. I'm a St. Louis boy. Anheuser-Busch is from here. We could go see the Clydesdales and their stables down at the brewery, near the riverfront. As soon as that spot started, my mind said, here comes the Budweiser spot. And then there was that head fake moment where we see Tauntauns instead. And I stopped the commercial and rewound it because I'm like, hold up. And I have to be honest, I loved it. Yeah. There were people who were disappointed, especially, when you think about the fact that they've been sitting on some apparently pretty stellar footage that was shared with the audience at the last Star Wars celebration in Japan.
There we go. And by the way, just so you're aware that you and I have a common touch point here. For years, we have in Merrimack, New Hampshire, a Budweiser brewery. In fact, it's only just closing down this year. But for a time, they had the team of Clydesdales for the Northeast stationed there. And they had this lovely sort of Bavarian village set up where you could go down and visit the Clydesdales. And again, I'm not lying when I saw Grogu reach out for the Tauntaun's muzzle, it's like Clydesdale. Because again, I have been, you did the tour, so these horses are the sizes of buildings, right?
They're huge.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Oh, but they're also very sweet, very gentle, and again, just it was thrilling to see that. But anyway, back to the ad itself. Yeah, it what's the polite way of putting this? A mild uproar?
Yes.
Everybody seemed happy to see Mando literally hand the reins to Grogu. Who, by the way, isn't just a character; he's a brand stabilizer. But what do you think the strategy here was?
Well, it's sort of like this is part of a larger pattern that we're seeing from the parent corporation, and that we've been talking about kind of for a while now. Marvel is entering into this new age of restraint, and Star Wars is entering into this age of familiarity. It's embracing its familiarity, I should say, and that includes things we're seeing at the parks and everywhere else. And in this case, familiarity with something else that has a bit of nostalgia for it. So really, I mean, both franchises are recalibrating just in kind of different ways.
Now, interesting that you bring up the Star Wars franchise, because I have just started reading a terrific new book. It's called The Last Kings of Hollywood: Coppola, Lucas, Spielberg, and the Battle for the Soul of American Cinema. Paul Fisher did an amazing job with this thing. But what he does is he puts you back in the moment when, again, the 60s, 70s, when Lucas, Spielberg, and Coppola are coming on the scene and upsetting, the apple cart, so to speak. Old Hollywood is suddenly dealing with these young upstarts. And what's fascinating is at one point in the book, they talk about Paramount and Barry Diller and his killers, which, back then included Michael Eisner, who would then go on to become, the head of the Walt Disney Company. But what was interesting in this part of the book, Dan, was they talked about how, Eisner coming out of television, he didn't want to necessarily be in the film business where, you were kind of reliant on, whether an actor, where the audience would come out for an actor in a specific movie. And what he was more interested in doing was, Fisher describes what Eisner was doing. He was in the annuity business. He was looking for tent poles, with the notion of, okay, we had, Grease was a hit. Let's do Grease 2. Godfather, there were 2 Godfather films. And evidently the entire time that, Michael Eisner's at Paramount, he's, going after Coppola. Come on. Godfather 3. Come on, you want to do it, but at the same time, Spielberg and Lucas are in there literally handing Eisner what he wants. For example, no other studio in town would touch Raiders of the Lost Ark, given how rich the deal that Spielberg and Lucas wanted for creating this property. But Eisner was like, okay, I can make this work if you promise, in addition to Raiders of the Lost Ark, we get 5 other Indiana Jones movies. And if you're willing to sign on the dotted line, we'll do that. So I again, just interesting to be reading about, this sort of deal making being done in 79, 80, 81. And now here we are in 2026, where we are literally living in the annuity world, where and you look, to circle back to what we've been talking about today, the crazy assurance with the way Marvel Studios is promoting, Doomsday, the notion of, yep. It's already started.
Yeah, you've been watching it this whole time. You just didn't know it.
Yeah, and by the way, something else, folks. By the way, if you want an interesting piece of reading, head over to License Global magazine, because they ran a piece this week, and you can read it online, where they actually talk about Disney Studios and what they're releasing in 2026, and looking ahead to what they'll be releasing in 2027. And Dan, it's fascinating. I mean, For example, as far as Disney's concerned, I mean, Spider-Man, a brand new day, it's just sort of like, we love that because that builds momentum, that builds interest in Avengers Doomsday. And looking ahead now to the summer of 2027, they look at Beyond the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, the third film of that series. And it's just like, that's going to do, make so many people interested in then going out to see Avengers Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's kind of funny because we think about both of those are really Sony properties.
That they are.
Technically.
That they are.
Technically. Yet, I mean, we're not sure exactly what they're doing story-wise to segue or weave these things together. But, I mean, Disney, in this, they're leaning directly into it and they're building off of it. And, I mean, that's not random. That's them, that's runway building. And that's Disney using sort of theatrical releases as awareness bridges to the next release.
Which just fascinates me because that's really stepping away from big bang marketing moments and more of, kind of a multi-year rhythm. It's like, hey, more fun to come.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, it does kind of make skipping the Super Bowl, it makes more sense because, they're not trying to win a weekend. They're trying to manage, 12 months, 24 months. I mean, because there's 2 releases in that span of time.
That there are, but in a moment, folks, we will transition from talking about the next 24 months to what? The next 3 weeks, 4 weeks? But first, this.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. Join host Evan Ross Katz on the official podcast for FX's new series, Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, and go behind the scenes with cast and special guests, featuring Sarah Pigeon, Paul Anthony Kelly, Grace Gummer, and Naomi Watts. FX's Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, wherever you listen to podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
And we're back. Okay. So, before I forget, I blame you, Dan. Okay. I'm holding this up as the evidence. I weakened.
Oh, yay. It's out.
It is out. And more to the point, they're gone. All right. These are the Oreos, stuff of legend, the color changing creams. And I literally stood there in the aisle and had to make the decision, well, which one of these do I get? Because I guess they had 3 of them out. And
there's 3 or 4, all right, so watch out.
So I got 1 of 4, and again, I'll be in a diabetic coma by the end of the month because now, and the packaging on this one is what? We have the Hulk, we have Johnny Storm, we have Storm, and we have the symbiote.
Wow.
So
Venom.
Yeah, Venom. That's an interesting, and I recall that the 2 of 4 had entirely different figures on them as well, and I think you were telling the story earlier that what is it? 4 of 4 is strictly villains, and it's supposedly been intercepted, and they'll be harder to get, and it's like. Okay. So, All right. Anyway, all right, just showing my weakness in a retail environment, folks. So anyway, in a moment ago, we were talking about recalibration. And so let's pivot now to talking about Daredevil Born Again, which has its second season premiering just a couple of weeks from now over on Disney Plus. And what did you see there, Dan?
Well, this one's kind of huge. We knew, and there seems to be a lot more discussion now. I guess they've decided we can talk about it now. Mm-hmm. So with the first season, we knew there was obviously a creative reset during production. We didn't really know why. We heard things, but now we're definitely hearing that Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio basically pushed Marvel to rethink the show mid-production.
Yeah, and I want to remind folks that when this happened, 6 episodes of season 1 had already been shot. So to literally do a cold stop and okay, we're gonna recalibrate. That's not small. That they swapped showrunners. They brought in Dario Scarpapan. They retooled the overall tone of the show, and then now here we are. Season 2 is moving.
Yeah, Cox and D'Onofrio. They're saying they saw early cuts and said this isn't it. Mm-hmm. And here's the part that really matters. Marvel listened, which says, tells me something important. They're not being stubborn right now. They're definitely embracing the idea of adjusting.
That said, there is one place that they still can't adjust. Vincent D'Onofrio has now said twice, once last year and again this past week, that Kingpin can't appear in a Spider-Man movie.
Oh, I know. And this is wild because Kingpin debuted in Amazing Spider-Man 50. Mm-hmm. He's a foundation. He's to the world of Spider-Man and to Peter Parker.
But again, supposedly because of the way the Sony film rights deal is structured, D'Onofrio has flat out said he's only usable. Kingpin is only usable as a character on television, not even a one-off Fisk film. So this is all caught up in film rights and ownership, right?
Yes, and that's important context for everything we're talking about, which is basically even if Marvel has a long runway plan, which they're seeming to have, there are still some legal guardrails that are shaping this.
And on the subject of illegal guardrails, Hollywood is wondering how to deal with the aftermath of when a couple of superstars appeared in an action-packed fight scene. Or did they? But first, this.
This episode is brought to you by Peloton. Break through the busiest time of year with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus. Powered by Peloton IQ. With real-time guidance and endless ways to move, you can personalize your workouts and train with confidence, helping you reach your goals in less time. Let yourself run, lift, sculpt, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
And we're back, folks. Wait. Before we get started here about the AI thing this past week, I want to tell folks about something I just learned about. And I don't know if you saw, Dan, this is actually before we started doing the Marvelous Disney podcast together, but do you remember hearing about how the Hotel New York at the Disneyland Paris resort shut down so it could then be rethemed as, what is it, Disney's Hotel New York, The Art of Marvel?
Yes. Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Well, and again, I haven't made it over to Paris yet to see this in person, and I hear it's spectacular. And only how when you're on Amazon and you're shopping, and the algorithm throws books at you that they think you might also be interested in.
Yeah. Sadly, I do know that.
There we go. That's why Alice is going to have no inheritance. She's going to have a lovely library, but no inheritance. So anyway, I'm ordering my copy of Pixar's The Art of Hoppers, and what does the algorithm tell me? It's like, oh, well, you bought this. Well, maybe you'd be interested in this. The Art of the Disney's Hotel New York, The Art of Marvel.
Oh, man. They're just making these books for you.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that they are at this point. It's just that Hill, the moron, will buy this. But evidently it was published in June of last year. It is a wonderful coffee table book of all of those pieces of artwork that veteran Marvel artists made that are used to decorate the hotel. And by the way, this is how I pay myself for doing this podcast, folks. That if I get a show in the can, I allow myself to buy a book. So when Dan and I finish here tonight, I actually get to go buy a copy of The Art of Disney's Hotel New York, the Art of Marvel. And not to put too fine a point on it, but according to Amazon, there were only 18 copies left. So I'm just telling you, Dan, because there'll be 17 after we're done here tonight. All
right. Well, I am happy to be complicit in this.
Okay. Well, there we go. All right. Now, back to, again, we have been talking on this week's edition of Marvelous Disney about Disney choosing control. But let's now talk about what happens when control disappears. And in this case, we're talking about that action sequence that popped up just this past week that seems to have really rattled Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about that AI video.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. So for the person who's in the cave that's behind the rock that didn't see this, can you explain what this was?
I mean, it is one of those things. When you think about it, how this happened, you can see the concern. Mm-hmm. Basically a simple prompt generated this hyper realistic fight between Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. And I've seen a lot of the AI stuff where it's like a character or an actor or performer or something of a certain time, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at them, they're eating M&Ms, and it's like, Clark Gable or something. Mm-hmm. And but this is something where you're taking the current, the up-to-date current Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. Mm-hmm. And this looks disturbingly convincing, and that was a problem because SAG-AFTRA and the Motion Picture Association, everybody's reacting, and you could say not positively.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, screenwriter Red Reese flat out said it's likely over for us. I mean, that's not hyperbole, folks. That's fear.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you see the video, I mean, here's the real shift. Mm-hmm. We just spent an episode talking about marketing strategy and tone shifts and careful planning, and then one person with a laptop can create blockbuster spectacle.
So what becomes valuable here? I mean, not FX, not scale, not trust brand or human performance. What's the through line?
I mean, okay, so Marvel's skipping the Super Bowl. We talked about that. Mm-hmm. It's not just marketing strategy, it's narrative control. And when a company is publicly mapping, product cycles 2 years out, I mean, clearly it's not panic. That's infrastructure. So Star Wars leaning into nostalgia isn't laziness. We can call it emotional anchoring. And AI forcing unions to react isn't really about tech. This is about authorship.
I guess the irony here is that, while we have a Disney mapping out to 2027 product cycles and theatrical handoffs, someone who wrote a 2-line AI prompt can hijack the conversation out in Hollywood and manufacture spectacle in 15 seconds.
Yeah. And this is a conversation that's been building for a while. But it just pivoted in a major way, and it's about to become, honestly, I think it's about to become a shouting match. Now Disney's playing a long game with billion-dollar IP. They've got the tools to handle that, but we also have to acknowledge that the tools to disrupt that game just got a lot cheaper and into a lot more hands.
They did.
Than Disney's.
They did, and I don't know. I mean, it is. I spend a lot of downtime on my laptop. You know how you'll just go on YouTube and sort of graze through stuff that's there. And have you seen this recent spate of videos where it's literally like your favorite sitcom stars, only the way at the age they were when they were on the show, and then they're joined by their older selves? I've seen
now. I'm okay to talk about algorithm.
Yep.
I'm getting those nonstop, and I'm getting like deep ones. I got the WKRP one, and I'm like, wow, okay,
yes,
bravo, algorithm.
Yeah.
Because yes, a huge fan, but I mean, somebody is out there and made a I saw an Alf one, and I never liked Alf, but the WKRP one, I'm like, well, and of course it's a bit morbid because they've got angel wings because they're dead.
Yes, and in fact that's the other thing. It's just sort of and Dan and I are of a similar age, because again, I hate to say it, but when Gordon Jump came in, and it was one of these things where it's like, oh, right. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, Gordon Jump as an angel doesn't quite look like Gordon Jump, but it just sort of, but at the same time, I realize this is a strange conversation I'm having with myself here. Just sort of, hey, the angel doesn't look like him. It's like, Jim did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a strange space because, I mean, we are literally not talking theoretical here. That Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt thing, happened. And now hundreds of millions of people around the world have looked at it and like, wow, I would go watch the movie that had this fight.
Oh, it's got incredible cinematography, a great quote unquote makeup, great fight choreography. And it sounds like them. It's, for something that did not happen at all. Yeah, I could see that. This might be alarming.
Okay, well, let me throw one final question at you before we head out the door here on this week's show. But you're James Cameron, and you have just made, Avatar 3, Fire and Ash, and supposedly you shot a good portion of Avatar 4, which, by the way, still has a 2029 December release date, and in theory, 2031, Avatar 5 arrives in theaters, but you are looking at the box office for Fire and Ash, which did about 60% of the business that Way of Water did, and it's only done like 54% of the original from 2009. If you're looking at a tool like this and you're a James Cameron, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, this is the thing is, he's a great example because he is always on the forefront of technology. He's a technology guy. He loves technology and he likes using it and getting his hands on and trying things and innovating and sometimes creating things that didn't exist before. And a lot of that is, a lot of that he got from George Lucas when they made Star Wars and the initial ILM and John Dykstra and all those guys. He's of that crowd. So on one hand, I can see James Cameron being like, "Hey, what about this?" Now, you're threading a needle there because there's going to be people who, one are going to be like, "You're killing our industry." So there's that argument. There's also going to be the sense of like, but it's fake. So then you've got like the Christopher Nolans and the purists who are like, want to shoot only on film. So I mean, this is definitely. I will say that, and I'm comfortable saying it, is like this moment right now, especially with this video that just came out, we are right back to where when the talkies came out.
I love that you made that analogy because that's kind of how I feel as well. The whole notion of, when you think about, you had this whole industry that had figured it out. In fact, I love those stories about, like, for example, how at Universal they had 6 points on the lower lot where, because of the way they'd set up the western section of the lower lot, they could shoot 6 westerns at the same time. And they on different streets, and they didn't have to worry because, about the sound from the next set because it's a silent movie. And now it's like sound comes in and you have to, figure it out all over again. And here is AI, which is a tool, in much the same way that sound equipment is or was a tool, and changed the industry. And where do we go from here? So
my entire Facebook feed is nothing but fake doomsday images or shots or scenes, and I've got everybody with everybody, and I really tell people like, just don't believe anything you see at all.
I know
right now.
Thank you for saying that out loud because I have felt like one of the reasons, in fact, Dan and I, when we work on this show, we talk about what we're going to talk about this week. And there have been so many, fake trailers based on, and the irony is they are fake trailers built on the back of those 4 clues, narrative whatevers, that the Russo brothers put out there. And, so everybody joined the party. And, and now it's one of those things where something pops up online and, look, I don't mind when they're obviously fakes and it's like, okay, I know that Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland aren't starring in Back to the Future 4. It's like, I'm fairly certain about that. But on the other hand, when you look at something that's good enough that at least for a few seconds, you're like, wait a minute, is this real? Is this?
Yeah.
That's an interesting moment.
I played that video, and I didn't say anything to Paula, and she was watching it, and she goes, "So those guys just did something?" And I'm like, no, they did not. They did not do something. Yes, they did. It was called Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, God, yes, back. That's right. That's right. And to be honest, if the stories from the set of that film are true, yeah, they should have had a fight a long time ago. So, all right.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, folks, I think it's time that Mr. Graney and I wrap up this week's episode of Marvelous Disney. And Dan, if they've enjoyed your insights on all things Marvel tonight, where can the nice folks find you?
Okay, if you want to find me on YouTube, you can find me at the Hububbery. That's HUBBUBBERY. It's just a bit of silliness. You can also find the Hububbery on X and Instagram and Facebook, or you can find just me, plain old Dan, at DANGRANEY67, and I'll be there.
Terrific. And as for me, well, we got some other shows here at Jim Hill Media. We got Disney Dish with Len Testa. We have Fine Tuning that I do with Drew Taylor. Likewise, we have the Epic Universal podcast I do with Eric Hersey. Also, I Want That Too. That's our Disney merch podcast that I do with Eric's lovely bride. And as we start to close up shop here, I want to thank Eric Hersey and David Gray for the great job that these two do when it comes to the editing and production of this podcast as we run to the curtain here. Quick favor to ask, folks, if you could please head over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this show, Marvelous Disney, going to help more folks find the podcast. And let's see. Okay, you explained where they could find you on. All right, I'm on social media. On what is it? I'm on X. I'm on Instagram as Jim Hill Media, and then over on Facebook as Jim Hill Media News. And with that, we wrap up this week's show. So before I go to Amazon and buy a copy of The Art of the Disney Hotel New York, The Art of the whatever, I just want to thank you again for listening on behalf of Mr. Graney, and we will be back with a brand new episode of Marvelous Disney shortly.